and welcome to this episode of Angels Don't Lie. I am really excited to be here with my dear friend Christy. Christy is a co-owner of the Angel Cooperative in Ridgefield, Connecticut, purveyors of happiness. It is a beautiful, beautiful place. So we're going to be having a really great conversation around energy, about this new form of energy we're living in. Some are referring to 5D, some are referring to the age of the healer, however we want to say that. But Christy and I were chatting really quickly before we got on about, like, you know, what the heck is going on with all of this energy. And I love your shirt, love. So welcome, love.
Hi, thanks for having me, Jeannie. I always love spending time with you.
Yeah, it's ditto right there. So, Christy, can you just like fill in everyone about who you are as a soul, and I feel like what the things that really spark of who you are right now?
Oh, wow. Sure. I feel like I've stepped into where I'm supposed to be in my life, which is a pretty amazing feeling. And as much as I didn't really like the journey to get here sometimes, everything's a process, right? And without that process, I wouldn't have the opportunities I have, I wouldn't have the knowledge I have, the wisdom I have, and the ability to share what it is I believe to be true. So I'm just so thankful to be here and, you know, have a beautiful metaphysical store and a beautiful spiritual center, and be able to connect with people like you and other people who are out there, who have awakened and who are really holding the space for what's happening on earth right now, which doesn't feel so good to people. But, you know, maybe I'm Pollyanna, but I think if you flip the script on stuff and you look at it from a higher perspective, you'll really see that what's happening needs to happen, and the outcome is going to be, honestly, heaven on earth.
When she smiles at you, she'll say, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, no, angels don't lie. Angels don't lie. No, 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 no.
Because we are living in this new energy, this new phase, in this heightened, you know, age of the healer, so to speak, I'd like to stay here and now, and like, who are you in this place now? And I think you kind of are stepping into that. Like, I also feel like you're a teacher.
Yeah.
Would you? Yeah.
Interestingly enough, I was trained as a teacher, and I was a teacher for 6 years. Yeah. So that's what I mean by this coming full circle. And then once I started having children, I didn't go back to the classroom. So it's kind of a tool, right? Skills I had to learn, I think, to be most effective in delivering the information that I have now and how to share it with our community.
That makes so much sense. Like, I've been watching your crystals with Christy, which is like my favorite thing. If you guys are on Instagram, it's the shungite room. I know it's your handle had to change because we have all those spammers out there.
Yes, we are at Shungite Room.
At Shungite Room. So go on to at Shungite Room and check out Christy's segments, because they're so informative, and they just, like, I know so many of you guys have crystals and you work with crystals, and it brings new aspects to them. Every time I listen to you, you just have like this keen knowledge where you just go in and it's like, wait, I didn't see that before. And I feel like it's so special.
Yeah. So crystals have an energy body just like we do. And so what happens is this beautiful relationship can occur between you and the crystal, and being able to identify which crystal is going to help support you, heal you, transmute your energy at any given time is really powerful.
Mm-hmm. It absolutely is. So let's talk about Ascension a little bit, because well, I know you want to talk about the divine feminine. Where do you want to start? We have so many yummy things we want
I
to
think
chat on.
I think it all goes together. I mean,
Well,
I
it
think
does, right?
a lot of people, well, listen, it's incredible. There's a lot of people waking up. We have new people walking into the store every day, and they're like, you know, I've
Right.
started having vivid dreams. I'm starting to have what we would call deja vu, right? I'm starting to feel things. I mean, people are actually dropping back into their bodies. I mean, COVID has its pluses and minuses. So to look at a positive of it, people actually had to be still for a little while. And what happens when we're still is we tend to start to calm our central nervous system, and it provides an opportunity to go inward because we're not so distracted by everything else, all the clutter, right? The external clutter. So people are wakening up. It was almost like that was a portal for people to awaken. And this time is really an invitation for people to become self masters, right? To realize that the powers within you, you have so many gifts and abilities inside of you. We've moved, and this happened in 2021, right? 12/21/2021 was when we moved out of the age of Pisces to the age of Aquarius. So we were in the age of Pisces from about 100 BC to 2000 AD, right? There's a little bit of an overlap. But what happens is this is astrological planetary movements. So these poles, right? If you understand, we're all part of this larger cosmos. Everything that happens out in the cosmos or the universe directly affects us here. So we've moved out of the age of Pisces, which was when we anchored the divine feminine, right? You think of Christ, Jesus Christ walked the earth, right? And who came with him? Mary Magdalene, the master teacher of the divine feminine. He is the master of the divine masculine, right? And so he brought that in, and he brought those teachings in, and what all those characteristics were of how to be a leader and knowledgeable and set boundaries and have action and think of others and be collaborative, you know, all those wonderful aspects of the divine masculine. Then there needed to be a time where we could anchor now the divine feminine. And that's what's really happening is the divine masculine went to this excess of, you think of the pentacles and tarot, you know, on steroids, right? We got the greedy, we have all of these institutions that are divisive. We have governments and warring and conflicts being solved in a way that's very aggressive and hurtful killings. So now it needs to come into where there's a place for the divine feminine to come in. And when we moved into the age of Aquarius, that new alignment allowed light codes to come in. And if you think of Earth as a solid core, but she's a sentient being, she's living, right? She has an energy body or ley lines, right? Just like we do. And when those light codes dropped in, they shifted. And as a matter of fact, the polarity of the North Pole has actually shifted a couple of degrees, which is pretty remarkable, right? So energy is light. And so that's what's happening is there's an up leveling of and an increase in light codes coming in.
So it's funny how like there's so many different teachings on this, same teachings, different language.
Sure.
And I say that to my audience, like they tell me, my angels say, this is the age of the healer. This is the time frame in which what isn't based in love is starting to tether off. So that stuff that's based in fear, we're seeing it. We've been seeing it literally coming inward. 2016, it really began like showing up in like a huge way. And if we think about the Bible and we think about before Jesus came and we look at the Bible stories that are there, they're very, you know, there's blood and dragons and fighting, and there's, you know, oh my, there's all of this angst. And then when the Bible teachings turned to forgiveness for sin and love each other as you love yourself, and leaning in to kindness and compassion, and that's really what we're kind of turning back into
Sure.
that space of remember where we stand, remember who we are. And I love that you're saying about the divine feminine coming in and flowing with Mary Magdalene, because she's really let herself be seen and known to a lot of different healers. So you see a lot of books, a lot of teachings, a lot of people experiencing and expressing what it's like working with Mary Magdalene in spirit form.
Sure. And you're exactly right. You don't have to be practicing in a spiritual center to be a healer, right? You could be the voice of reason in your workplace.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the newly appointed boss that reorganizes the work environment so it is more of a we instead of me environment. So you could be a healer in any aspect of life. You could be a healer for your family. So many women have claimed or stated that they aren't going to do XYZ. And that ancestral pattern stops with them. That's an amazing healing gift. And what is the divine feminine? Part of it is intuition, wisdom, healing. The goddesses and the priestesses prior to when it became patriarchal, they wore red or they wore green cloaks, right? Red represented the menses, where they would anoint, right? That's proverbial anointing. Or they would wear green for fertility, healing, and abundance. So,
and so the divine feminine, let's talk about divine masculine and divine feminine, because I think they're both really important to understand, like what's happening in this duality of like the things that are based in fear that are starting to maybe cause some uncomfortableness in your life. It's not that divine masculine or masculine energy is bad. It's the consumption of fear that has brought in the logic tones that have really made it where it pulls away from your divine feminine, your trust in your innate truth and connection to spirit.
So what the divine feminine is, and this is just my opinion and my experiences and things I've learned along the way from teachers and reading and that kind of thing. But the divine feminine isn't kowtowing. It isn't rolling over. It isn't turning the other cheek necessarily. What it is stepping into and having the confidence to say, I just know this to be true. I just know it to be true. I feel it in my body, or I have seen it. Okay, that is the full embodiment of this intuition that women possess. I'll say something to my husband and I'm like, we just have to do it. And he'll be like, okay, she said we have to do it. I don't understand it, but I trust her. And I know that when she claims that, it is true. And it's true for us. And I'm not talking about facts and, opinion, that kind of thing. I'm saying what is true for our family, what is aligned for our family. So it's not the antithesis of letting people take advantage of you. It's not allowing people to push your boundaries or let you be, a pushover. No, it's actually about saying, this is what I need, and this is what the community I'm in needs. And so this is how we're going to solve the problem together. So I went to graduate school, and I had a marketing teacher, and I will never forget this. I loved this. He said, the best way to look at something is not to look at the pie and carve it up into little pieces, but think about how can we make the pie bigger? Okay, that statement alone says to me that is a man, right, who has fully embodied and balanced his divine masculine and his divine feminine, right? So there is a gentleman who looked at his situation and he didn't have to win. He didn't have to get the bigger piece. He thought, how can we make more? And those are qualities that everyone possesses. Everyone has divine masculine. Everyone has divine feminine. And as we walk down this ascension trail, right? As we move up, it's called the Ascension flame, right? So we can all get up to the vibration of love, and get to the highest vibration, whether that's source energy, spirit, God, heaven, whatever you call that. It is still the same vibration, just the same dress in a different color, right? So that is the process of us balancing these qualities and characteristics within ourselves. And so not only are we becoming one with the collective, we're becoming one inside of ourselves.
Right. And I think that's what COVID really, if we can look at COVID in the time of when we were home, maybe not the illness itself, but leaning into those spaces where we got to be one with ourselves, to identify like what's really uncomfortable here, what is fear, but what is love.
Sure.
We got to see it, on both sides. And here we are now out in public again, which is very uncomfortable for a lot of people, because the energy is like, oh, and it's like, what do I do? I'm so emotional, and our emotions are, I think that's the thing that people are like uncomfortable. They're feeling things they haven't felt, and they don't know how to process them.
I'm sorry to interrupt. They went into the depths of themselves, right?
Right.
You jump into the deep end of a pool, and if you don't have the tools or know how to swim, you're going to feel scared.
Right.
Right. And that's what happened, is when we go into the deep well of ourselves and we aren't fully equipped to start to experience some of these emotions, you can feel fear and you start grasping around, maybe for what was familiar or old patterns.
Yes.
Or addictions or bad habits, those kinds of things. And then you're like, oh man, I really didn't want to go back to that. I really didn't want to go back to my default energy. I had a glimpse kind of what it could be like, or what I could step into. Right. And I think that that's where people are, is they're in this 1 foot in, 1 foot out. But listen, that's part of the process, is going into these deep places and looking at your shadow self, which is a beautiful aspect of yourself. Okay. That is the space where before you drop down here, right, into earth school in your meat suit, your soul said, we're going to work on these things.
In your meat suit.
Yeah. So we're going to work on these things, and they're your lessons, right? Yeah. So
you touched on some things. I want to slow down just a hot second for a minute, because you talked about the shadow work, which what's different now. I mean, shadow work isn't new, it's not new, but what you're noticing now with the shadow work is it moves quicker than ever before. And so it's not time to sit in silence or, like long doses of therapy. It's meant for you to transcend it faster, so it doesn't implant back into your energy.
Absolutely. And we're in solar seasons, an eclipse season. And we just had a solar eclipse, and we're going to have a lunar eclipse. So we're sort of sandwiched in between.
When were these? When was the solar?
April 30th was the solar eclipse.
Okay.
May 16th will be the lunar eclipse.
Yeah.
If you think about the energy of the sun and the moon, right? The sun pushes you forward. It's action.
Right.
It's fire. Right. The lunar takes you deep inside.
Right.
Any eclipse energy creates chaos. I mean, people have been driving like, woo, woohoo, crazy, right? And you might just be really jittery, or you might feel a little more irritated about something, right? It's just it's really the solar flares, meaning there's pieces of the sun that have erupted, and Mother Earth in her subtle bodies help protect us, right? But she's absorbing a lot of extra heat and electromagnetic energy coming off of the sun, which creates a little shift for us. And so we feel a little bit of this and that.
Yeah, you might be jolting in a relationship. You might be, you might notice that about yourself.
Yeah. But this particular solar eclipse, unlike any of the other we've all experienced in our life, was really a gift. It is one that has now shifted us, because it's a solar eclipse in Taurus. Taurus is about earthly things, okay? So it has now shifted us out of our usual timelines and it's inviting us to move into other timelines. And when that happens, you have the opportunity to shut the door. Listen, we've all done a lot of work on
You
ourselves.
need to explain timelines because that's going to confuse people. What are we talking about here? Go.
So timelines, if let's say a timeline is a new dimension or opportunity for you to walk your path in your life. Okay. So it is always accessible to us. So say you are constantly always having a problem, always having the same problem. It's like this cycle. So it's a problem at this job. You leave this job, you go to the next job. It's a problem. I mean, at some point you have to realize you're recreating a pattern, right? So this eclipse and this time that we're in right now is saying to you, figure out why you keep creating this problem, whether it's out of fear, it's out of shame, it's out of guilt, it's feeding your ego. There's something about it. Identify it, let it go. Do the work, let it go, and step into your higher self. Keep reaching towards your higher self. That will shift your timeline or raise your vibration, right? These are be on a different frequency. Okay, as you do that and you're like, oh wow, like I was really recreating my family system. A lot of people do that in their workplace. They recreate family system stuff because they really do want to work through it, but you only know what you know. Okay, so they recreate their family system in their workplace, and once they recognize, oh wow, I really need to maybe write a letter to my brother or my aunt or my uncle or my mother, about how this made me feel, and cathartically get this out of my bodies, right? Then I can kind of move forward. As scary as it might feel, I can now move to a different timeline, a new story, have a new experience,
And again, like I want to go back to like this. It's not like this hasn't been present before. It's just that it's accessible in a much quicker way than ever before. Yeah. So you can step into a new frequency just literally by staying in that moment to breathe in and remember the semblance of joy, peace, kindness, compassion. You can just step into that timeline, if you want to call it timeline or a frequency, to have that brand new experience. You can you choose your identity. You're shifting, and that's where we get into more of that divine feminine and having the balance between the masculine and the feminine, where the masculine has been what's been pretty apparent. Like we've seen a lot of overuse of masculine energy, forcing, making things happen, a lot of logic, not trusting the wisdom from within, not trusting that our body, like you said earlier, innately can connect to source energy and be guided and know like, this is something I have to do.
Well, to give you an example and some tools around that, right, is people, because they're waking up, remember, we're waking up because the light frequency is up leveling here. Okay, we're available to much higher frequency, meaning that the light and electromagnetic energy, right, it oscillates, and it's oscillating much, much, much faster and much quicker. That's why we're seeing time almost warping to some degree. I mean, can we believe it's the middle of May? It's crazy. So, but to give you an example, so people are becoming awakened or becoming more spiritual. So they're meditating, they're connecting more. They're becoming more aware of how their world is affecting their body, right? Or their bodies, right? Because we aren't just our physical body. So you go to the grocery store, right? That's a very 3D experience. It's a very earthly experience being in the grocery store. It's overstimulating, it's loud. There's a lot of product, a lot of choices. There's a lot of people in there. People are usually hungry and they're rushing. I mean, that's like the two worst combinations, right? So you get into the grocery store, you leave. If you were to take the attributes of how you feel right then, you could really go to the extreme of the divine masculine. You could be irritated, you could become aggressive, you could become arrogant, you could start yelling, right? All of these things that are kind of an exaggeration or an out of balance divine masculine. Instead, and this is what I do when I leave the grocery store, I take some deep breaths, right? Get back into my heart space. When I breathe deeply, and maybe I've trained myself to do this, I lift and expand my heart space, right? Automatically, when you lift and expand your heart space, you are energetically opening yourself up, right? To inviting in some higher source energy.
That's one of the reasons I love yoga so much, because we can take that breath and like open and pose, and we can stretch, and we can release the toxins that have been held within our body. I have not liked going to the grocery store. This has been, you know, I want to say since my youngest went to college, or even before, it's something that has shifted for me. Like, I used to love shopping at the mall and stuff, but that all went out. Like, I want to say like 2013, it started just going away. Like, I didn't enjoy it. I didn't want to go. I would put it off. And that is just that's the telling sign of right now. Like, you might not like the things you used to like. They might not be bringing you joy, but you might even be just doing them because it's habit.
So here's an amazing thing, a tie-in. And, you know, we're in the age of Aquarius. Aquarius is an air sign, right? It's not only about communication and building better paradigms and institutions with a we mentality, but it's about artificial intelligence, okay? And I'm not talking about creepy robot movies. I'm talking about
Thank you for that.
Instacart. Why do you think Instacart's taking off? Because that supermarkets are such a highly charged energetic environment for sensitive people right now. Why do you think streaming services are taking off? Because movie theaters hold a lot of energy in them, and that can be really overbearing or toxic for a lot of people who are now waking up. So there's a lot of positive aspects to what's happening in the AI world or in the internet world.
Yeah, so let's talk about waking up for 1 second, because it's nothing that it's nothing foreign to you. It's your senses that have been brought online. Like, your senses are brought online, and your body is an energetic being, and so being brought online means it's opened up into a new flow, into a flow that maybe we've never experienced here on this planet before.
Right.
I don't even want to say maybe, I say it is, and actually is a new flow that we haven't experienced before.
Yeah. Look, I mean, every day is a new day that's never been experienced here before. But I think there can be some great lessons learned looking back millennia, and those would be, people used to connect with the earth. I mean, Mother Earth provides us almost everything we need, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we had the ability to either we were walking, exercising, meditating, connecting with nature. The trees talk to you if you pause long enough.
Yes, they do.
Right?
Crystals talk to you. Everything has energy to it.
Right. So, you know, I think that we need to come back to some of those and take all the incredible improvements that we've been offered over these thousands and thousands of years. And now we're creating the new earth, right? We're creating a new environment. I just wrote an article for Natural Awakenings magazine on the morning ritual. And I think that's really important to start to get some tools in your toolbox. And doing a morning ritual, which is something that you do every day with the intention of recalibrating your energy system. You know, people really need to start looking at themselves as sacred containers. And we do collect energies and attitudes and belief systems and experiences throughout the day. And doing a morning routine or even an evening routine gives you an opportunity to not fall into the default energy around you. Gives you an opportunity to really clear and up level your own energy.
Noelle just posted a really great question. She really loved the explanation of the divine masculine. Can you explain the feminine and then the divine feminine, and the two different aspects from being, you know, we understand, I think, a logic way what our femininity is, but what does it mean to be in the divine feminine?
Yeah, great question. I don't know if I necessarily make a distinction between feminine and divine feminine. I think feminism is a term that got picked up to describe what a fully evolved female could be. But that term was then plopped into a patriarchal paradigm, right? Which you can't do that. They're complementary. They flow together. You can't take a piece of describing a woman and dumping it over on the divine masculine
because
side.
that for me has like the fear tone wrapped in it, and it makes it unhealthy.
Yeah, it's de minimis. Like, we're so much more. We are equally as magnificent, as the divine masculine is. So what the divine feminine wouldn't look like, think about your chakra system, your throat chakra. I don't care. It's all right. Whatever you want to do.
You want, yeah.
Yeah. How about the heart chakra? I feel so guilty. I'm sorry. I hate myself. I'm so ugly, right? Like all of these things. The root chakra, the sacral, reproductive problems, lower back problems.
I can't, I won't, yep, I'm frustrated.
Attitude, right? So those are all things that kind of show up. This passivity shows up, and or we get accused of being hysterical. We cry too much, right? We feel too much, right? So when you're in the divine feminine, you recognize that whatever your chosen path is, we're all given the spark of divinity, right? When we're created, and whatever those gifts are, and you bring them forth in the world, you are healing the world. So it doesn't matter. You want to be an actress, you're bringing so much joy and imagination and beauty and wonder into the world, right? Actors, singers, composers, musicians, fabulous. You want to be a teacher? I mean, come on, what a great profession to be in. But really bringing forth and embracing the gifts that you have, you are healing the world. So it's a healer, right? Stepping into who you are. It's about using your intuition. And it's not about the I told you so kind of stuff. But let's face it, I mean, for the most part, our moms were usually right, right? And it's because they told us so, right? We didn't understand it, but we accepted it. So let's fast forward that and put it into a paradigm where we're really saying, we need to do this for the collective good, right? That's a strong divine feminine, is looking at this community. Like, women used to meet in sacred circle, right? Because they were supporting each other to lift the whole community up, right? So it's about being in community with each other, trusting that intuition and the wisdom. I mean, we collect a lot of wisdom through our life. The triple goddess you talk about, maiden, mother, crone, right? So if you think about where you are in each stage of your life, you're collecting wisdom, you're sharing wisdom. I love having an intergenerational staff. My staff runs the gamut between 18 and 70. And the reason I do that is because my young staff people are vibrant, effervescent, so smart. These kids are so smart, so in tune, and so sensitive to other people. But they need a little massaging on curbing some of the enthusiasm sometimes, right? They need to learn some skills on how to navigate through the world. And that's where my older staff comes in. They have such a great wealth of life experiences. They are kind and they're nurturing, right? And they want to see these kids succeed. Those kids are our future.
Right.
Why wouldn't we nurture them?
Right.
That only lifts everybody up.
So I don't want to leave the men out in here, because I feel like it's really important to understand where a man lies with all of this, because men are coming on board with their divine feminine, which is totally uncomfortable for them as well, in a different way, because what was based in fear or logic from earthbound energy is really dissipating. And I'm seeing a lot of men come on board with their healing gifts, talk to their sensitivities, understanding that they can express without feeling that shame or guilt, like I'm not a guy, You know,
Right.
I'm not in
Yeah.
that gaga if I talk about, you know, connection or being a vessel.
Yeah. Listen, who were their role models, right? I mean, this is why it's really important, I think, for men and people in general, that as you're waking up, get into community as much as you can. Whether
Yes.
you have a small group of friends, whether you start your own group, whether you go to, your sessions, or anybody, anything, the we have spiritual groups here, that kind of thing, but get into community as much as you can. And I think for men, that's really important, because they have almost no tools to navigate what it is that they're feeling.
Yes.
And they need to feel safe, and they need to learn what it looks like to balance some of these feelings. I mean, these feelings come rushing in, or these experiences, or maybe they're having an experience and they want to respond to it differently, and then they're kind of like, so um men who lean into this aspect of themselves, I think, go on a similarly different journey. And I know that that's like an oxymoron, but they also go on a journey where they're digging deep and looking at it, but they're coming at it from their own set of experiences of usually having to toughen up, or they get a
Right.
little stiff, right? So that's where the meditation and the yoga is really great for the guys,
Yeah.
because it
My
lets
husband, my husband loves like a sound circle, like a
yeah,
drum, or
perfect.
that's where he feels like he
Yeah.
can let go and have those holy experiences. So
Yeah, it allows the energy to move through their system. If it's already feels a little unfamiliar, that's okay, but they just don't want it to be stuck in them. And so that meditation or yoga or movement, drumming's amazing, helps to move this energy through them. And as you move energy through you, your light codes, right? Your divine coding inside of you up levels.
yeah.
So as you start to experience more and more situations that are stirring this pot inside of you, your body's actually has recalibrated, and you keep elevating up. And that's when this sort of beautiful conjoining happens, where they're also able to kind of go with the flow. I mean, water's the most powerful element in the world. You think about it, right? It is non-resistant. It either destroys what's in front of it, or it goes
And
around it,
goes around it. Right.
you know?
I love that. This is such a good conversation and a
Mhm.
juicy one.
Yeah.
The space that we're living in, and what Christy is talking about, and what I share, and I know many teachers are sharing, this new phase that we're in here on Earth is not meant to stop you or cause you from experiencing, which I think is we'll see a lot of people coming in like panicky,
Mm.
not knowing what to do. They don't necessarily feel safe in this new heightened energy. Like, what do I do with all this? But I know you offer some amazing workshops and tools at the Angel Co-op,
Yeah.
and I'm blessed to be there and offer workshops. Do you want to talk a little bit about the space and what you're seeing, even in trend wise, like what's happening?
Sure. So we have the metaphysical store. We have crystals, divination tools. We have the first and only shungite room in the US. Shungite's a healing stone from Karelia, Russia. Um, Contains billions and billions and billions of fullerenes, which are naturally occurring antioxidants. So we have that in one space, and then next door we have the Angel Wing, where Jeannie does her workshops and her trainings. We have a large yoga room, so we do yoga, sound baths, workshops, and then we have our recording studio, which I'm in right now, where we do our stuff for YouTube and Instagram and our podcast. And then we have a private treatment room next door, where we also have private Reiki, acupuncture, massage, and other private sessions that people might want. So what I've noticed is people are really looking for ways to connect with their spirit guides. that is something, real trend that I've been noticing. I think people come in, they like the meditation, they love the sound baths. Um, it gives them an opportunity, again, to get any of that sticky stuff off of them that they might have been going through. And it calms the central nervous system. And when our body is calm, we're able to have better mental clarity. We don't feel quite as sensitive to energy around us. We're able to just maybe get our chi moving, right? Our life force energy moving. We don't really have any resistance or blocks in our body. So I think that that's a great maintenance tool, right? I think I mean, I do it, regularly also. And then I think people are looking for, okay, now what? Now what do I do? How do I connect with something that I can't see? Right? Many people don't see angels or they don't see loved ones who have crossed over. But the signs and the symbols are there for us, and the tools are there for us. And I think the thing I like to get across to people, at least in the workshops I present, is you have the power. It's in you.
Yeah.
You already own the power. It's just a matter of tapping into it and knowing where to find it and when to use it. And trust me, I love all the accessories around spirituality. Like if there's crystals, I want all of them. If there's tarot decks, I want all of them. If there's oracle decks, I use them. If there's sprays, bring them on, I love all of it.
Yeah. It's funny. When I just did a workshop at your space last week, and room full of amazing souls who we did, and it was a complimentary event, which was so much fun. But I kind of did an overview. Sorry, dogs are going, of the room. I scanned the room, like, to see like who had their senses open, and if anybody had the experience of sight. And everybody, there was maybe one person in the room that was like, yeah, I see some color, but everybody else was like, no. And that's a really cool part of my gift, is I know when they have a gift, because my angels will show me. So we did this meditation, just what you said about, I brought them to their light room in heaven where their angels came in. So they had their angels with them. And this experience lets them see for themselves what senses are available, because as I bring them on this journey, they are in the driver's seat, because they walk to the room, they feel the door, they look at the table that's across the room, there's a vase of flowers that they smell, there's a pitcher of water that they hold in their hand, and there's the glass to their mouth and drink it. So when we were done and we walked through, I asked them questions. Did you see the flowers? Did you smell the flowers? We did all that. They all raised their hands. And the one woman who was like, no, in the front, you always have the knower. I'm like, all of your senses, your sense of sight is open. And she was like, oh, I guess it is. She it was like such a beautiful thing. Like she just realized, wow, there's just a story I've been telling myself, but I had just had this whole experience.
Yeah. And what's amazing about that is it gives them a building block from which to continue. And it's really nice to have something that you can springboard off of and be like, oh, wow, that flash of light over there, I really did see that.
Right, because that's how it grows.
As you're moving through the day, or wow, I did hear the birds chirping, but I'm inside an office building. So, wow, what does the birds mean to you? So, and it gives you a chance to start realizing the magic that exists around you. It is there. It doesn't just appear and go. It's always there.
Yeah. When we teach the Angel Healer training, which we do every November at the Angel Co-op, every time after the first, couple of hours in the first day, it's like all of a sudden when we go to take that lunch break, everybody is like awakened. They all have had a holy experience beyond, and they're in your shop and they all are like, this tool's talking to me, and they're checking the energy, and they're just like, they're coming back with bags and bags of this, glorious stuff and tools and things that are talking to them that they didn't realize beforehand was possible. And then I get the pictures. I get the pictures of, how they're using it and what their angels are guiding them to. And that's the power of the divine feminine.
Yeah.
Because it's not you in your head, it's you in your heart.
Right. Well, and if you're never sure about something, you put your hand on your heart and think about how you feel, or maybe sit quietly and your heart will speak to you, and you put your hand on your head. And
because your body can't lie.
No.
Your body knows truth.
Right. But, you have to get to the point where you're recognizing your body signs,
Mm-hmm.
I feel really tense, or I feel really aggravated, and that's not who I am. At our core, we are love, we are joy, we are open-hearted, we are smart, and when you start to deviate from those frequencies, then it's time to realign, which is why having a spiritual practice, and people are learning that now, what a spiritual practice is. And it's not in conflict with your religious or nationality or anything like that. It is complementary to that. It only comes in to support that and make that connection even more beautiful and divine.
Do you have any workshops or anything coming up that you feel like you want to share with everyone?
Oh, yes. Okay, we're going to do one of my favorites. So I do a angel workshop every month and an Ascended Master workshop. And this month, well, I'm having surgery. If people didn't, I'm having surgery tomorrow. But so we usually do our workshops a little earlier in the month, but this month we've pushed them off to the end. And I'm doing the Divine Mothers. So we're going to be talking all about the aspect of the Divine Mother, the divine feminine energy, but really that motherly energy. And that's Mother Mary, Kali, Tara, Kuan Yin, and Isis. And how those 5 aspects of that Divine Mother energy come in and come together to support you, and how you can tap into it. I mean, it's so easy. Tara, she is an incredible Hindu goddess that is really fast acting. She's healing, fertility, abundance. But you say her name 3 times in a situation where you need help, and you will see a complete turnaround. Tara, Tara, Tara. I mean, they are really incredible and really strong energies that everybody can tap into.
Yeah.
Then at the end of the month, we're going to do Archangel Cassiel. We've never done him before. Cassiel is the angel of temperance, meaning he's the angel of knowing when to be still, challenging, and knowing when to take appropriate action. So he really takes you on a journey, and he's one of the angels that I like to say sits on the peripheral or in the last row of the amphitheater, right? So I see my guides in different ways coming out in rows, and he's on the edge, but he's all present, right? He's very large, but he sits around the edge, and he sits around the peripheral, and he'll step in when you need him to, but he's a really good one.
That's beautiful.
So we're going to work with him.
So tell everybody how they can find the workshops and do the stuff here.
Yeah, so you can come to our website, which is the Angel Co-op, angelcoop.com. And you can go to our workshop events page. We've got all kinds of stuff on our website. You can follow us on Instagram, which is at Shungite Room, and Shungite spelled SHUNGITE. Or you can come and visit us. We're at 51 Ethan Allen Highway in Ridgefield.
And I will be there in August for my Empath and Sensitive Soul workshop. And again, and then again in November. Yeah, so we haven't released the link for the November, but we are going to be working on that in the next couple of weeks, and that will be ready. And they'll be on both Christy's website and on mine. So yeah, that's a hot event. So Yay. I'm so excited. I'm so excited about both those workshops coming up, and sending you lots of love and prayers for your surgery tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it'll all be good. And it'll all be good. So
Yeah.
yeah, it needs to be done. So and the thought of living a life where I am pain-free is very attractive. So I'm excited.
Yes, especially since you've been carrying around for quite some time.
Right? Yeah. This was really fun. I love talking about
Amazing.
this aspect, and I think there's so many ins and outs of it,
Yeah.
and so much to learn. We're always learning. I think that's one of the best things I ever learned from my parents was be a lifelong learner.
Yes.
And I would always love to hear people's experiences and comments, and if they're reading any good books around this. There's some really good stuff out there.
Yeah, agreed. So always being in that like, you can always know more, you can always lean in a little bit more to get that understanding.
Yeah.
I always love my conversations with you because I always take away so many yummy nuggets, and I'm always like so filled up because you're just such a light being. So thank you, Christy. Thank you to our Angels Don't Lie audience. I'm just going to scan, if you don't mind, just to see if there's any questions on here that I missed before I let you head off. You guys, if you have any questions, if you're watching live on Facebook, now's your time. Noelle says, I agree. Supporting those uncomfortable could simply be acknowledging the feelings are real. Yes. And that it's okay to share. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Isn't that nice validation?
Yes. Anita saying, what a great chat. So much to take away from. I know, right? I really feel like we should have had our notebooks out, guys, and just taking these notes, because she's amazing. And going to her live events is amazing. I've gone to a couple of your angel circles, and
yeah, everyone's welcome. And we're going to talk about some of these, just what it feels like being in our body, what it feels like being a woman today. And just being in community with other women is really supportive.
Beautiful. Well, again, thank you so much. And you guys, thank you for joining. We love you. And
you're the best, Jeannie.
You know what I know, because angels don't lie. Have a beautiful, beautiful day, guys. God bless you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You'll never worry or fear. Her love is special when she is near. The pain relieves the ties to the past. Her lonely